Here's your news for May 16, 2020. We're starting with news from Becky Lynch today as details have emerged on what the former Raw Women's Champion was planned to do at Money in the Bank. Of course, Lynch didn't work the show due to her pregnancy, and now the Wrestling Observer newsletter is reporting that Lynch would have faced a familiar foe at the pay-per-view. They write, "The actual booking plan was for Lynch to wrestle Nia Jax in a singles match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and to retain the title. Fans will never know what kind of match the Man and the Irresistible Force would have had at Money in the Bank, but with Asuka now holding the Raw Women's Championship, we expect Jax will be on the hunt for the Red Brand title." We've got more news regarding the Man now, as in arguably the least shocking move of all time, Jim Cornette isn't happy about something in wrestling. This time, the controversial wrestling personality isn't happy about Lynch leaving the ring to become a mother, as he spoke about the former Raw Women's Champion on the Jim Cornette Experience. "You can't always be on top of the wrestling business in $1 million a year spot or more, but you can have a baby. What is she? Can she be 30? Lynch is 33. Well, still, she's got many more years before the Easy Bake Oven gets shut off. She can have all those problems like a distended stomach and stretch marks and hemorrhoids and hormones problems and mood swings and all those other joys of motherhood later on when she ain't making $1 million a year. She's got plenty of time left. What would you do if your wife came home and said, instead of making $1 million next year, I'm basically gonna just be a raging bitch for the next 9 months and then give you more shit to worry about around the house?" Obviously, Cornette isn't pleased about Lynch having a baby with Seth Rollins, but it's clear that the Man and the Monday Night Messiah are more than happy to start this next chapter of their lives. We have some news on the Intercontinental Championship now. We all know that WWE took Sami Zayn's Intercontinental title off of him. Now they're holding a tournament to decide a new champion. This was an interesting decision that split the WWE universe. They apparently didn't have enough SmackDown superstars to fill the brackets. Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, Elias, King Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, and AJ Styles are all in the tournament. They set up some great introductory matches with a story behind each one, but AJ Styles is not on the blue brand. It's unclear why WWE placed Styles in a SmackDown tournament, but it's very interesting. This could be an example of WWE using their new crossover rule. It's unclear why they would use the crossover rule in a title tournament situation. We have some news on the new Raw Women's Champion now, as Asuka certainly had a good week. While she captured the Money in the Bank briefcase and the Raw Women's title, it's now been claimed that she wasn't the company's original plan. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer claims that the original decision for Money in the Bank would have seen Shayna Baszler leave the Performance Center with the women's briefcase, which would have led to a continuation of the Baszler-Lynch feud that started earlier this year. Meltzer also added that Asuka is expected to feud with both the Queen of Spades as well as Nia Jax over the title, and there have also been rumors of turning the new champion babyface, as the company won't be able to accommodate 3 top heels in the Raw Women's division. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Asuka, and whether this rumored feud with Baszler takes place, as the company is clearly trying to fill the hole left by the departure of the Man. On to some more news now, as Robert Roode and the Singh brothers haven't been on SmackDown or 205 Live during the current global situation, as they've been unable to get into the country. Robert Roode was last seen in the Elimination Chamber match where he teamed with Dolph Ziggler to take on champions Miz and Morrison, The New Day, Lucha House Party, Heavy Machinery, and the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer reports that Roode and the Singhs are currently in Canada, and with travel restrictions in place, they haven't been able to make it to Orlando, Florida for the WWE TV tapings at the Performance Center. Meltzer goes on to report that Lesnar also lives in Canada, but WWE was able to pull some strings in order to get him to Florida. Lesnar was present for the pre-WrestleMania shows to hype his match against Drew McIntyre. He hasn't appeared on television since losing to McIntyre at WrestleMania 36. Though the Singhs have not been on television, they were featured in a special The Matches That Made Me 205 Live episode. At this point, it's difficult to predict when Robert Roode and the Singh brothers will return to WWE TV, given the travel restrictions in place. We have some news on SummerSlam now, as WWE booked SummerSlam for August 23rd, but that date isn't going to work for Boston now. Their mayor has banned large events until early September. Now WWE will need to figure something out. Previous reports stated that WWE is considering rescheduling SummerSlam to the fall. with the Wrestling Observer noting that Vince McMahon is determined to hold SummerSlam with fans this year, even if he must reschedule the event. Vince McMahon is determined to have a live crowd for this year's SummerSlam. Right now it's scheduled for August, but if waiting until September is the only way to have the show in front of a live crowd, the thought is he would make that move, but it's not a move decided on, and he hasn't outright committed to it. It might be possible that WWE will find a state that is much more willing to allow live fans in sporting events. Florida, Georgia, Arizona, and Oklahoma seem to all be inching closer to allowing sporting events with live fans. In the end, this is 100% a Vince McMahon decision and, quote, he changes his mind constantly. We are looking back at Owen Hart next, and while the Rocket hasn't been erased from WWE history, there remains a lot of tension between WWE and his widow Martha. Since Owen's death at Over the Edge 1999, Martha has held WWE responsible, and after suing the company twice, once for his death and again years later for using his likeness, spoke recently on Chris Jericho's podcast. Speaking to the former AEW World Champion, Martha said how she feels bad for fans who struggle to get any Owen merchandise, but hopes to change that soon. She said, "That's something that, working with Dark Side of the Ring, we talked about doing something to commemorate the episode. We're going to put out some nice t-shirts of Owen for fans. Owen adored his fans." Martha didn't go into detail about when or where these shirts will be available, but with the Owen Hart edition of Vice's Dark Side of the Ring airing May 19th, hopefully we'll get some answers soon. One issue several fans have with Martha is her refusal to let Owen be inducted into the WWE's Hall of Fame, but she did reveal that she'd be more open to seeing her late husband be honored in Japan, as he worked for New Japan in the late 80s to early 90s. She said, "If I got an invite, I would definitely entertain it, but I haven't. It's not like I've turned anything down. Nobody has ever approached me about something like that, and I never gave it much thought, but you never know." Time will tell whether Martha does get the chance to honor her husband in Japan, but fans shouldn't expect to see Owen's name to be on the marquee for any WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. Back to WWE now, and while Renee Young is certainly a busy person, working as the host of Backstage, an interviewer, and a part-time commentator, the Canadian may soon be adding another job to her resume. While speaking with Clay Travis, Young admitted that she would enjoy becoming a manager in WWE, and already has a certain WWE superstar in mind. She said, "One person who I thought for a second I was like, oh, should we pitch a thing, was Elias. I thought it would be really fun to manage Elias as like his band manager or something." So far in his WWE career, Elias hasn't been given a manager, and it's clear that Young would like for that to change. We have some news on Otis now, as some of you might know that in Netflix's film The Main Event, Otis stars as Stinkface, a wrestler competing in the NXT tournament. As you may have guessed by his name, Stinkface is a disgusting wrestler who literally farts his way to victory. And if Otis had his way, the character would have been even more disgusting. Senior Director of Talent Relations Mark Carano goes, "You're gonna be in this movie. Basically, you're gonna be more disgusting, more smelly, more nasty than you already are. I hear it's Stinkface. WWE Films gives me a call and says, 'Grow out your beard, don't trim it.' That was the only thing I had to do," Otis recalled to Lillian Garcia on Chasing Glory. "I was excited to be in a movie and play a character with this kind of style. If I was ever a bad man in pro wrestling, this would probably be my character. I'm very sad that one scene got cut. It's when I go to register my name. Before that was supposed to happen, I walk up and I blow a snot rocket when she says, 'Who are you?' I was having a runny nose, and I went to the director and went, 'You want something nasty? What if I blow a rocket right on the table?' He goes, 'Can you do it 3 times? Let's do it.' Maybe it's in the deleted scenes. I went to the girl and said, 'Are you cool with this?' She asked, 'Are you going to get it on me?' 'It might. I'm sorry, but if it does, I'll buy you dinner.'" In the movie, Otis's farts backfire as he's defeated by Kid Chaos, who uses the fart to torpedo himself into Otis. Yes, this is a real thing that happens. Guys, one thing's for sure, Vince McMahon certainly has weird people around him. One person who certainly knows more about Vince McMahon is The Undertaker, and while 2020 has been the year fans have seen more of the man behind the trench coat, we've also learned some hard truths about him. This week, the Wrestling Observer newsletter explained why the Demon of Death Valley had so many returns throughout his career, as they wrote, "A key reason for all this not talked about is financial issues, as though he's made more money due to guys making more money than ever these days, than all but a few in history, he has had financial issues with divorces and bad investments. It was also noted that the dead man makes well into 7 figures each year for just a handful of matches, so things aren't too bad for the Man in Black anymore. And we're ending today with news from the dead man, as after so many years in WWE, fans can't help but wonder how much longer The Undertaker will be around. It wasn't too long ago WWE signed the surefire future Hall of Famer to what was being described as a lifetime contract, and now more details have come forth on what this really means. The Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that the Demon of Death Valley signed a new 15-year deal with WWE, so given that he's currently 55, this deal will run until he's 70. We very much doubt that The Undertaker will still be competing in the ring when he hits the big 7-0, but whether it's inside or outside of the ring, it seems there will always be a spot for The Undertaker in WWE.